Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
It is 44 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday evening. Let's continue with the conversation as we observe International Fraud Awareness Week. One form of fraud that is plaguing desperate job seekers in this country are those who are getting fake background screening reports. Now, it could lead to many getting criminally charged as they pay for such reports and unwittingly taking part in fraudulent activities. And let's talk a little bit about it. You know, it is a country, unfortunately, we are a country where the unemployment rate, it is high. And I'm going to further exacerbate it by the amount of young people that are employed in this country. It does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if one person is unemployed, yet alone 3.5 million 15 to 24-year-olds who are not in education, not in employment, and not in training. And as we heard from the Statistician General last week in our conversation, where we had, I think, about 9.8 million 15 to 35-year-olds who are not in employment, not in education, and not in training. Looking at the unemployment statistics for young people, which are sitting well above the 60% mark, the unemployment stats in this country, which just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense for a population of about 60 million people. But unfortunately, here we are, right? Fiercely contested job market. And what we're finding is that people are falling prey to companies that offer a screening report or a background screening report that is clear. Let me give you an example. Some of you, and please get into a conversation with us if you've ever been a victim of this. Some of you have got a criminal record. And because of your criminal record, you are not able to get access to job opportunities. So what some of you will do is you'll pay people who offer you a clean report, right? A clean screen report. You'll offer them money, you'll pay them money to give you that clean bill of health or that clean screen report, where unfortunately is not real. It is fake. And fraudsters, cyber criminals are starting to realize that the desperation that many of us hold makes us get fake screening reports where we want a clean non-criminal record or clean report if you've never been blacklisted or of the kind, and you pay for that, but you're paying to the wrong people because those people are not even real. So in terms of fraud, how many of you have been victims of this kind of fraud where all you wanted was a clean screening report or a screen report that said that you've been vetted and everything is okay, and you ended up falling prey to people who unfortunately were not even real? They didn't even give you the right screening. They didn't even give you the right report. Please give us a call, drop us a voice note if you've ever been falling victim to that, or maybe you're an HR specialist. How do you tell as an HR specialist that someone's vetting is not real or is fake? HR people, let's talk to you also for a little bit. If you're in HR in a corporate business, HR in the public sector, HR, anybody who is involved in HR, when somebody's lying about their vetting, how do you pick up on that lie? If someone's lying about who they are, or lying about ever being incarcerated, or lying about ever being blacklisted, or whatever it is that is when they're looking for a job or trying to apply for a job, how do you check? How do you conduct that background check that validates or invalidates what they claimed? I'd love to hear also from HR specialists. So HR specialists, I'd love to hear from you as well. How do you tell the lie from the lie from the truth? And then also, have you ever been a victim of this? Getting a clean screen or you want a report that's clean, and then you found yourself in the prey of cybercrime criminals who've now taken your money. Let's welcome into this conversation Jennifer Barkhuizen, who is an expert in the field, who does background checks and screening. Jennifer, much appreciated for your time this evening, and welcome to Metro FM Talk.
Thank you for having me.
And perhaps, Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about this. Look, it is an International Fraud Awareness Week. And unfortunately, and as I said, it's a highly competitive environment when it comes to the jobs market in South Africa. It is an unfortunate phenomenon that does exist. And we're finding that a lot of people are looking for jobs. And unfortunately, and maybe you'll be able to expound on this in the answer, is that, you know, as HR in different departments, people are looking for a clean report if you're going to be part of their organization as well. And some people don't have that clean report and therefore get duped into selling or into exchanging money for that clean report. But talk to us a little bit about the prevalence and some of the fraud that you see a lot of South Africans being caught by.
Yes, and rightly, as you said, unfortunately in South Africa, we have very high unemployment figures, and desperate time calls for desperate measures. Some of these candidates are struggling to find employment, and then they go to these extreme lengths to obtain a fraudulent background screening report. However, in South Africa, what we are also seeing is that many companies are prioritizing thorough background screening because they need to ensure that the people they are employing are skilled, they are qualified to do the job at hand, and they then go through the rigorous process of doing these background screening checks. Now, you get two scenarios where some individuals are caught in this web of fraudulent activity and unknowingly obtain these fake qualifications. And why companies are doing this is because they are charging these candidates, these unknowing candidates, for these fraudulent reports. And that should be your first alarm. If a company asks you to pay for a background screening check, that should be the first red flag that you see, because that cost usually falls on the company itself. If there is a reason for the candidate to pay for that, it should be disclosed in advance to the candidate to say, it is the process that you're going through. This is the process to follow, and there will be a cost involved. But ultimately, a background screening cost falls on the company itself and not the candidate. Now, looking at it from a different perspective is that if you maybe do have a criminal record, then unfortunately it has become very easy to go to these fraudsters, let's call it that, in the spirit of Fraud Week, and you paying money to get a fraudulent document. We, over and above just getting a fake background screening report, it's now become very easy to get a fake matric certificate by doing a simple search on social media. So
Sure.
it's a well-known thing out there, and that's why it's very important for companies and for individuals to be very, very cautious when dealing with this. Go through the right channels.
Yeah, Jennifer, hold your thought. Let me go pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about that, especially the fake qualifications. Hey, South Africa is plagued by people who do not have matric, who say they've got master's degrees.
Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
It is 54 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday evening. The question that we're asking as we observe International Fraud Awareness Week is, HR specialists, how do you spot the truth from the lie when it comes to people that are applying for jobs, especially when it comes to giving them vetting, when it comes to vetting them, when they claim that they don't have a criminal record and they've got that screen that shows that they don't have a criminal record? How do you prove that indeed they do have a criminal record? Or looking at the vetting process of somebody saying that they've never been blacklisted before. How do you find out that they indeed have been blacklisted? Because the fraud that is currently happening right now is fraud where people are asked to pay money to criminals so that they can get themselves a clear score or clear vetting report that allows them to get access to job opportunities. So how do you spot the fake from the real? And then the second question that we asked is, have you ever been a victim of that, of fraudsters who tried to defraud you of your money by asking something? Or maybe you're looking for a job and you've had people ask you to defraud. The one thing that I can say top of hand is that it's always amuses me how close to the end of the year I'm always a jackpot winner. Like, I've just read out the national lottery, but somehow close to the end of the year I'm always the one that is winning the lotto. I think I win the lotto every week. Somebody messages me and says, you have won the lotto. To claim your prize, simply dial this, or reply with yes. How many of you guys have been part of that? I tell you, I literally win the lotto every single week, especially leading up to festive season. I win the lotto every week. In fact, that lotto win also comes through my emails. But how many of you have actually fallen prey or victim to it? And I often think of the elderly when it comes to this. They may not be that conscious to it, and they may fall victim to it as well. As we get into this conversation, Jennifer Barkhuizen still joins us, an expert in the field of background checks as well as of screening. Jennifer, you were just talking a little bit before we went to the break, just really about the types of criminal activity that people get caught up in. And one that you were mentioning is faking their qualifications. And it seems to be a phenomena, like a growing phenomena, where people fake their qualifications.
Most definitely. And as I also mentioned when we spoke a bit earlier, it's become so easy to obtain a certificate. When we started this conversation many years ago, we were talking about degree mills, and, it was very the system that they had was, set up very well, where you could phone into a call center, etc. But today, with the technology and the advancement of social media, etc., and the reach of social media, you can now simply do a search on social media and you can buy a fake matric certificate online. Now, in saying that, then background screening becomes important for companies again, to make sure that when somebody provides you with proof of a qualification, don't just take it at face value. And that's the same with the screening report. Don't take anything at face value. Make sure that this has been done properly. Make sure that the person actually obtained the matric qualification, because now you are competing with other people with our high unemployment figures in South Africa, and the person you are competing with might not even have their matric or their qualification because they bought it online.
Sure. Jennifer, it certainly is a serious phenomenon. So you're saying be aware when it comes to screening and these reports, these clean bills of health, as I call them, it is not our responsibility to get them. It is the company's responsibility to provide.
Most definitely, because the company needs to mitigate the risk if they are onboarding a person. So they need to go through the correct channels and the processes to get these background checks done. And there's certain processes for certain checks. Now, if you as an individual are going through the background screening process and it's very easy, like you are getting your criminal verification done without getting your fingerprints captured. Again, red flag must go on. If you are going through the process without completing a consent form, red flag, because you cannot go through the background screening process without giving your consent as an individual. And then again, companies, if they are presented with a background screening report and everything looks good, you have to question why this candidate is presenting a report to you if you are, from your own side, putting them through the background screening process. And it's also important that you are familiar with the process. If you look at a criminal verification, for instance, those results are valid for 24 hours, for 1 day. And the reason being is you can go through the process and anything can happen and you can have a record on your name.
Sure.
So it's important to know and understand the process and ask the questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. Know what you're getting yourself into. And if a company is not open about the process or not willing to give that information, again, another red flag should go off for an individual.
Jennifer, let's leave it here this evening. Much appreciated for your time. Jennifer Barker is an expert in the field of background checks as well as screenings. Please be careful. Festive season is upon us. You know that the criminals are trying to get themselves a